we've done it. We've actually had it for 2 or 3 months, and 1 or 2 of you viewers have actually seen some little shots of it on a couple of videos that I've done. I've tried to hide it till I figured out that I did like it, but we've done it. We bought a new ATV. It's not an ATV, I guess it is an ATV, a UTV, a side-by-side, whatever you want to call it, but we ended up buying a 2016 Honda Pioneer 700. For those of you that haven't been watching my videos, or maybe didn't know, about 2 to 3 months ago, we total lost our Kubota. We had parked it after a family picnic where we had cooked a pig all night long, and it rolled off and into a tree and absolutely just total lost it. So you can watch that video right here if you haven't seen it yet. But today's video, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the new Honda Pioneer. Yep, I bought a used one. It is a 2016 model. And you can see from the underneath that this thing has not been in the mud very much. It is actually in extremely good shape. It was not driven that often. It only has 130 hours. I'll explain to you why we chose the Honda, why we chose the used one, and tell you why I didn't go back with a new Kubota. We went from a 520 to 700 cc's. The machine is in really good shape, but I saved several $1000s by finding a used one. And I couldn't wait forever to find a used Kubota because I need one on the farm too much. So this is our new machine. So let's get some of this feed unloaded and we'll talk about it while we're at it. So why did we buy a Honda? Or why didn't we buy a new Kubota? After we total lost it, my first thing was, let's buy another brand new Kubota. We loved it. So I actually called the same place, had them send me a quote on an exact setup for the machine that we had. I mean, exactly the same, just a year newer. And we'd only had that machine for 1 year. And in 1 year, it had 230 hours on it. So I called the guy, same salesman, everything, and he sent me a quote right away. Even give me a bit of a discount for being such a good customer and coming back to them. So when I got the quote, I was really surprised. Very much surprised by it. The price in 1 year on the base model had went up just over $2,000. And then the price of the accessories that I had put on the last one, which was the bumper, the winch, the windshield, and the roof, that had went up for those pieces another $200 to $300. So we were almost at $2,500 more for the new one than the one we had, which was only a year old. So I did start shopping around a little bit to see what I wanted. So just like last time, I wanted something that had a bed on it that was for more utility than it was for sport, right? Definitely wanted to be able to haul and definitely wanted to be able to pull. I never really had any trouble with the RTV 520 as far as either of that, but it was that sometimes I felt like maybe, I won't even say it was underpowered, but it was a 520. So I started actually looking around, for or at some different machines. Some of them were a little higher in power, and for the, wait a minute, let me get you guys fixed so you can see what's going on. So I actually looked at Kubota and started looking for a little bit larger. They don't make a 700. They step straight up from 520 to 1,000. And that went straight out of my price range right away. I just didn't want to pay $18,000 or $19,000 for a machine and be in that much debt. So when I started looking around, I called the Honda place. Their new Pioneers, the 500s, they couldn't get in. The new 700s, they couldn't get in. They were back ordered. And again, even the Kubota, I would have had to wait a month or two to get because everything is slow. The Kubota was guaranteed to come in within a month or so, so I wouldn't have had that long to wait. So I talked with my wife and we talked about what we should do. So I met with the salesman at the Honda. They're a Honda, Yamaha, and Kawasaki dealer here in my local town. And told them what I was looking for. And again, they had some of the bigger, more pricey stuff in stock. They didn't have any of the smaller, more utilitarian vehicles. Most everything they had in stock was, you know, let's go ride the trails. Didn't really have room in a bed for hauling stuff. Didn't have any of those things. So I just happened to say, hey, if you was to get something used in that you might think I would like, give me a call. So I was a little disappointed by everything because it's something that we used every single day. So I was sitting at lunch one day at work and just got this call, and it was from the Honda dealer, and the guy says, you're not going to believe it. I got in a 2016 Honda Pioneer 700. And this is the machine. And when he called, it had the bumper, it had the winch. It didn't have a windshield or a roof on it. And everything ended up being, this whole package for 2016 was just under $10,000. Remember earlier when I said the 230 hours on my machine that I had had for 1 year? I had put 230 hours on it, bought it brand new. Well, this one, this Honda, only had 160 hours on it. It was bought from a gentleman who only traded it in because he wanted a different color. He had it, and it's got some scratches and a little bit of stuff on it, but I'll show you these pictures that are coming up in some of the video right now of it when I brought it home. It looked brand new. I was super excited to get it. And it had all the things that I wanted, and it checked off a lot of those boxes. So I was really tickled to get it. So let's talk about some of those things that it had. It has a 700cc engine. It doesn't have the CVT belt, which I did not want because the 3-speed transmission holds back really well on the downhill. It had, and it is 4-wheel drive. It has a little bit larger bed, and I've got some notes here. I'm going to do some comparisons, so bear with me for looking at my notes. So as far as size goes, the length of this one is 114 inches, and the length of the Kubota was 105. So we're 9 inches longer, which is not a huge deal. 60 inches wide versus 55 inches. So it is a little wider. May not fit in the bed of the truck as easy as the Kubota would. And the height on it is 77 inches here, where the Kubota was only 74. So not a lot of difference. When we get into some of the differences, the towing capacity for this one was 1,500 pounds for the Honda, and the towing capacity for the Kubota was 1,168, so a little bit more there. But you have to remember, The Kubota was a 520 and this is a 700. Payload in this machine, now this is where it really, I was very surprised by this one. The payload in this machine is 1,000 pounds in the bed, where the Kubota only 440 pounds payload. So not a lot of differences in the size. I will say some things that I really like about the Honda. It has an actual gas shock assist on the dump bed. So if it's not really heavy, it'll actually help raise that up and hold the bed up by itself. If it's a super heavy load, you would still have to assist it some, but it does hold 1,000 pounds instead of 400. It's got more ground clearance at 10 inches there. The seat in it, the seat and sitting in it, you sit more upright, you feel like you're up higher, you're not cramped, you've got nice leg room in here. The instrument panel is simple. It's got forward, reverse, and drive, and then it's got four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and four-wheel drive differential lock. Now, with a differential, you need to know that the rear diff is always locked. That could be a plus, it could be a minus. I'm kind of on the fence about that. It would be nice if it would unlock, and the two-wheel drive, you'd have an unlock differential, because it'll kind of eat up the yard a little bit if you're not careful, but not a big deal. This model does not have power steering. The 2016 model does not. Neither did the Kubota, but I have had no trouble or no need for power steering. It's really simple and easy to use. Some of the cons that I have, this is all of the storage we had, but it's about the same or maybe even a little more than the Kubota was. The only thing I can say as far as storage, I'm not sure why Honda didn't take advantage of all this space in here and put a storage box. Now I'll say Kawasaki has kicked their tail when it comes to storage, because Kawasaki, their entire underneath here is one big storage box. So for farming and fencing and stuff, this would be wonderful to have a complete storage in there. There we go, I got it now. So storage is lacking for the Honda. I will say I like the ATV type tires. You know, we were having trouble when the turf tires for the Kubota would slick over, then we'd become stuck in a lot of mud and stuff, but haven't had that trouble with this one. Another con that I'm not crazy about, and I know it's really weird, and it is the doors. They're a little cumbersome, always opening and closing them. And yes, you can take them off, I'm sure. And yes, they have a purpose. They keep you from getting muddy and wet when it's raining, which I do like that part, but they're just aggravating when you're on and off feeding constantly. But overall, I have no complaints. Really happy with it. Really proud to be the owner of it. Really blessed, I feel like, that we run across a deal like this. And again, I cannot say anything bad about the Kubota that I had. I cannot bash Kubota or the RTV 520. I bought this machine instead of the Kubota for one reason. The money for me was a deciding factor. It rides a little bit better. It is a little bit noisier, I think, than the Kubota was. It just rattles and shakes and a little bit more noise to it, but I'm really happy with it. Let's go take it for a ride, and I'll let you see kind of how the 3-speed transmission works, how it shifts, how it holds going downhill, and let you hear some of the noise, a little bit of the rattles that it has. So let's do that real quick. All right, let's go for a ride. Riding in the passenger seat. Whoops. out a little bit, even if you've watched any of my videos, was the fact that the Kubota was a little bit slow. If you didn't mind the speed, didn't mind it being slow, that you'd be okay with it. I have to say that the Pioneer is quite a bit faster, which you don't need, but it's kind of it steps up in the speed as far as coming and going. Really good transmission, and you probably can hear the shakes and rattles too. I know I got some buckets on here. The second gear, third gear, and then we'll just let off, not touch the brake. You can see we're kind of going down a pretty steep incline. If you touch the brake, it's going to shift down. No touching the brake at all. That is important to me. See the goats coming, they think I'm going to feed them. So there it is. We've bought a new machine, and it's a Honda. You know, I don't think you can go wrong with Honda. I've owned Honda motorcycles, Honda four-wheelers, and always had really good success with those. So I don't think we can go wrong with this one. Guys, if you have any questions about the Honda, please leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to do a video on it or to answer those questions through the video or maybe through a short. I'm really happy with this machine. I know I haven't done it justice. We'll be doing a better review on it, but I just wanted everybody to know that we've got a new machine, and that way I can stop trying to hide it in the videos. Guys, have a great day. Thanks for watching, and as always, you know, we'll do it all again tomorrow. Let's go finish unloading this feed.